Yeah. Yeah, you've studied societal and empire breakdown throughout history, and now you've done it with 2020 hindsight. But I'm wondering what vulnerabilities you might see in our modern society, the United States, let's say, if we have to narrow it down, that you think other people either don't see generally or that we're just not paying enough attention to that might lead to the downfall of either the United States or Western civilization as we know it, if you want to zoom out a little.
Well, here's the thing. As you get closer to that moment, things that people saw, you had your Nostradamuses 30 years ago warning about, it becomes more obvious. It's like when you're getting closer to an iceberg, more and more people can see it. I think there's a bunch of challenges right in front of us that are clear to anyone paying attention. You don't have to be have some specialized knowledge in political science or anything like that to see. I also think there's some things that have been threatening us for a long time that we've become complacent about and forgotten about. So in terms of what threatens us that everyone sees, I mentioned it earlier. It's these variables that we've never had to deal with before. The pace of change and some of the changes that we've seen. Social media is a perfect example. So many of the things that we looked forward to as these giant liberators and levelers. I used to do capital pitches to investors about what we called amateur content before there was a Yahoo, not before there was a Yahoo, before there was a YouTube, before there were any of those, before there was an iTunes, before there was podcasts. And what we were trying to tell them was it's going to be great. You're not going to have any gatekeepers. Everyone's going to be able to broadcast their opinions, all these things. It looked like a relentlessly positive future.
It'll never work, Dan.
Well, but it's not that. They did say that, but if you had told me back then, if I could go visit myself back in those days, 1999, and tell myself, well, listen, it maybe isn't as relentlessly positive as you're suggesting it might be, because I wasn't looking at the downsides. If you'd said to me, everybody's going to have a voice, I would have said, fantastic. But who would have known that this is how we might use our voices, right? So I would suggest that that's one example. That to me is the iceberg. Everyone sees what this is doing to us and the destabilization it's causing and the lack of knowledge about where this goes from here. Everybody gets that. What we've forgotten about, I think, is the nuclear thing. And I've done a bunch of shows on this and talked about it extensively. When we did one on the development and early history of nuclear weapons, I had a theme running through the show. And the theme was, if somebody's pointing a gun at your head, and they do it long enough, do you forget it's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you were born with the gun pointed at your head, do you even notice it? Because we've had this gun pointed at our head the entire time you and I have been alive. It's part of our existence. Now, when I was a teenager, early 1980s, they came out with a couple of made-for-TV movies. One was called The Day After, and it used the modern film techniques of 1980s to show you what a nuclear war might be like. It was so upsetting for people to see that in a form that got through to them, right? You could talk to them all day long about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but show them what a thermonuclear weapon would do. Ronald Reagan himself was so heavily impacted by that movie, it's considered to be one of the reasons he pushed for a meeting with Gorbachev to deal with the nuclear weapons issue. May have influenced the Star Wars development idea, because simply being reminded of this sword of Damocles that hangs over our head is enough to sort of recalibrate our senses. But we've forgotten that the most dangerous thing in the world, the most dangerous human caused and controlled thing in the world, in the middle of a pandemic, you might have to make a distinction
put
like
an asterisk next to it.
Yeah, but is nuclear weapons, and we are way too blithe. I mean, I think we've just, like I had said earlier, the longer you get away from one of those traumatic civilizational learning moments, teachable moments, the less we remember it. It took that movie The Day After to remind people, what this might be like. We haven't had even a day after. I think when you make a movie like this now, it looks like a horror movie. It just looks like a thriller. No one takes the lessons to heart that, no, you don't understand. These weapons are all still out there. And if you look at how the First World War, for example, ramped up, it's a wonderful example of how quickly things could get out of control and progress in a direction that will make your head spin. And you'll go 20 days into it, you'll go, oh my God, can you believe we're really facing a nuclear war? 20 days ago, we weren't even thinking about this. It can sneak up on you quickly.
If you like that clip and you want to see more just like this, subscribe to our channel for more, or click on the videos on screen now. To see full-length episodes, check out our main channel in the description below.